Oh, here we fucking go. Back to the podcast. I love this. Right. Dia Gwit, everyone. Kajima Tosh Shivan. Welcome back to episode number 51 of the Inline G Flute podcast with me, your sexy host, motherfucking Inline G. I've just about sobered up from last week's episode. Genuinely true. You guys got this a week ago. I recorded it last night. 4 a.m. in the fucking morning. Had a sore head today. Went on my walk. Fixed it. To tell you the truth, guys, I'm a little bit embarrassed about last week's episode. I'm a little bit embarrassed. It might be the fear. It might be the anxiety. But I felt like I had really good content. I had a really good idea. I had a really solid presentation. And then I fucked it by going and getting blocked. I got absolutely fucking mouldy at the session. I had too many pints. And I came back here and sucked on another beer. And I think I fucked the whole thing. But we're starting to accept here, guys. We're accepting it's part of the creative process. Failure is essential. And we run with it. We roll with it. We don't just reshoot things because we're not happy. Sometimes you take the rough with the smooth and you just move on. We're being gentle on ourselves. But today is going to be a very different episode because I've been sitting on this fucking mountain of gold. Since day one, I've had Tutankhamun's tomb. I say that 5 times fast. Tutankhamun's tomb. Cooting the moon's boom. Shooting your moon's flume. Fluting. Fuck. Now, this is going to be a story time. I'm going to be sharing a personal experience with you. There is no goal to this podcast, to be honest. I was thinking, should I present this in a way that has like a moral ending? Perhaps it has a lesson that you can all learn from it. A relatable thing that you can take to your life and apply directly to it, dear listener. But it doesn't. It's just a bit of shite talking. It's going to be a cathartic experience for me. It's something I really need. So it's going to be talking about experiences I had teaching music at a rather prestigious music school here in Germany. I won't say where in Germany. It was not in Cologne. Okay, so I can't say where, obviously. And I cannot name names and I cannot give you anything more specific for obvious reasons because the last thing this podcast needs is another fucking lawsuit. But on the music school, I worked there a few years ago. I left about a year and a half ago. Okay, now what I can tell you is the music school is co-owned by a husband and wife duo. And for the rest of this podcast, we will refer to them as Deirdre and Rodney McClune. The McClunes together run the McClune Academy of Music and Pish. That is obviously not their real name, but they are Pish. Pish is an Irish way of saying piss, by the way, but it's much funnier. Now, I was waiting for the right format to present this story, to present this fucking content, because I have so many stories, and I didn't really know. And then it struck me. It struck me like, you know when you drink a shot of Sambuca, but your belly's full of Guinness, and it just plops down to the down, right in the top? That's what it struck me like. Exciting, but a bit sickly. This week, I am going to be retelling my experiences at the McClune Academy of Music in a cathartic way through the lens of Homer's epic poem, The Odyssey. Now, where did this come from? I was reading a bit of James Joyce last week. James Joyce, I'm sure you're all familiar. I hope so. If not, James Joyce was an Irish writer, most well known for... He had a book of short stories called Dubliners. He had a couple of novels called Finnegan's Wake and Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. He had a collection of poetry that he called chamber music. But his most well-known work is Ulysses. And Ulysses is a retelling of the Odyssey. The Odyssey itself is Homer's epic novel, and Ulysses retells it. So the Odyssey tracks the journey of Odysseus, the Greek king, and his 10-year journey to get back to his hometown of Ithaca. And on the way, he faces demons, monsters, crazy weather, Greek gods, every manner of problem you can imagine. Ulysses aims to retell that story over the course of, instead of 10 years, over 1 day or 24 hours, following the life of a very boring, plain, normal Dublin Jewish man called Leopold Bloom. And the idea is to find the beauty and excitingness of the banality of everyday life. So, I thought I could retell my fucking awful experiences as the Odyssey, because why not? Also, these stories are fucking horrific. They have caused me so much anxiety over the last few years, and this is finally the time where it's a cathartic experience to finally let this go and to make light of it and to bring humour into it to make it a little bit more bearable. So I'm going to enjoy this episode, lads. So before we go, you know what the Odyssey is? If you don't, the Odyssey is largely credited as being one of the oldest pieces of literature in the world, alongside with the Iliad, both written by Homer, not that Homer, the Greek Homer. It just tells the story of Odysseus, Greek mythology, and he fought in the Trojan War. Then he took 10 years to get back home. That's basically it. Why was Jim Joyce called Ulysses? Ulysses is the Roman version of Odysseus. So they're interchangeable, essentially, for the sake of this podcast, they're interchangeable. So here we fucking go, lads. Let's start drawing these parallels and see how fucking smart I am. I'm going to make a balls of this. Right. The beginnings. This is a very fresh episode, lads. I wrote this today. It was great fun to write. It was so much fucking fun, but recording it, I'm not sure if it's going to go smoothly. But anyway, the Odyssey starts with our hero, the titular character, Odysseus. Now, he has just won the Trojan War, 10-year war, very bloody, and Odysseus was the great hero of that. The Odyssey opens with Odysseus on the island of Ithaca, and he's on there with the Greek goddess Calypso. Now, Calypso has fallen in love with Odysseus and will not let him leave. Now, in our tale, in my great Greek epic adventure, this is myself during Corona, this situation. I just moved to Germany, and I came here with an amazing CV. I just graduated from the École Normale de Musique de Paris. I was teaching at conservatoires. I was very, very qualified. And that is the equivalent of Odysseus' Trojan War triumph. Now, instead of me trying to journey back to Ithaca, I searched a journey back to financial security and a little bit of prestige by looking for a position with a semi-prestigious school. No, a prestigious school. And of course, in this scenario, Coronavirus is the evil Calypso, widely in love with me. So in love with me that she gave me it 4 fucking times. 4 viruses and 3 injections. What do you call them? Fucking injections, man. What do you call them? The virus. No, that's a fucking virus. Jesus Christ, my brain's going to... you know what I mean. The cure. I had 3 of them. Did fuck all. 3 of them and 4 coronaviruses. Anyway. So, I moved to Germany. I started applying to this one music school. Now, they weren't looking for a flute professor at the time, but I just thought I'd send my email across with my CV saying, when you have a chance, or if you have an opening, I'm here. They ignored it. I did it again 3 months later. Rinse and repeat for about 2 years. They always reply to me saying, when we do, we'll check out. Please keep in touch. I did. 2 years later, the phone call comes. Gareth, it's the Flute Academy of Music and Pish, and we'd like you to come down for an interview. And I go, fucking happy days, boys. This is it. This is my life starting to pick up finally. Post-corona, money's coming back in. Daddy's getting a new car. I don't even have a car. So, this is where trouble starts already. Because the Academy of Pish has an address on all their official headers with their documents. And I thought, right, I'll go to the address. That's where the Academy is. So 11 o'clock on a Wednesday, I pop down. I'm there 10 minutes early. I'm not a fucking idiot, alright? This is not my first rodeo. I knock the door. I'm thinking, this looks like a house. But you know, it's Germany. They refurbish everything here. Maybe it is an academy. Yeah, maybe it is. I don't open the door. Why would I open the door? That'd be very rude. A man opens the door. A man wearing nothing but a pair of socks, and just a pair of boxer shorts and an open shirt, looking dishevelled, looking like a giant big fucking chicken. He says yes, and I said, I'm here for the interview. As ridiculous as that sounds now, me in a suit looking at this man half dressed going, I'm here for the interview. And he said, what interview? And I said, for the Flute Academy at Pish. And he went, fuck, have you been speaking to Deirdre? And I said, I have. And he said, she's done it again. We don't actually have a building. This is our tax address. We only teach in high schools. So we don't have a physical building. It's just a concept. Whatever the fuck. And I was like, fuck, well, what do we do now? And he said, I'm going to the building where she is. You come with me. That's where you should be. And I said, no one fucking told me that. No one gave me that address. Ever mentioned that he didn't even have a building. But he's like, that happens all the time. She forgets. And I was going, should have saw the red flag. But anyway, I go down. I said, I'm here for the interview. And Deirdre and Rodney are looking at me and they go, great. You're not going to do an interview. You're just going to do a trial lesson. And I said, great. And they said, we see in your CV you've got experience with choirs and youth groups, orchestras, wind ensembles. And I said, yes, I've done a lot. And they went, right, well, we've got an after school club today with kids aged 4 to 6. We'd like you to take it over. And I said, for how long? And they went, the whole thing. And I said, will the teacher be watching? And they went, the teacher's not here today. And I thought, right, well, that's the reason you've got me in, isn't it? Bit of free fucking labour. But whatever, I'll nail it and you have to get me a contract when I come back. So I said, what is the club? And they said, it's a music club. And I said, great, what kind of music? And they went, whatever you want. And I said, okay, is it choral or instrumental? And they went, whatever you want. And I said, is there any structure? What's the name of the club? And they went, it's whatever you want it to be. And I was like, I know, but it already pre-existed before I'm here. And they went, yeah, we didn't have a name. So just do whatever you want. And I was going, this starts in 3 minutes, lads. I have no preparation. I have nothing with me. No equipment. No instruments. Nothing. They went, nope, don't worry. 3 minutes, just start. Give it a go. They left me alone with the kids, by the way, for the first half hour. I hadn't even done my security check to work with children yet. I was just off the street. I was just some fella. And away I went down. Leave me alone with the 4-year-olds. Where you go, big son? Knock yourself out. Thankfully, I am a genuine music teacher, essentially. So I was like, right, I'll do this. I thought I did a good job. Deirdre brings me up afterward, reminding me on the way that this is the best paid music school in Germany, my fucking hole. And then she said, you're not what we're looking for, I'm afraid. I said, fuck, and I left, and that was it. But just as it took Odyssey 7 years to escape that island, I was called back 1 month later. Offered a full schedule, I asked for 2 days a week, and I got offered 2 days a week. Now, you don't get a contract with places like this. It's essentially like a freelance invoicing thing. There is some kind of contract to say you won't talk about certain things, or you won't unveil certain things. By the way, that's ran out. It's 1 year, and I can talk about whatever the fuck I want, so, yeah. That's why this podcast is getting made. But there's no set amount of hours per week. There's no sick pay. There's no holiday pay. There's nothing like that. It's a very loose contract. Okay, very loose. It's essentially freelance. When you finish what you do in the school, you invoice them. You pay your own tax and everything on it, which is a common tale for most music teachers, unfortunately. But the tale begins anyway. So, the Laestrygonians. That is Odysseus' first foe on his journey back to Ithaca. The Laestrygonians are essentially giants, and they want to eat Odysseus up. And Odysseus has found his crew at this time, and they want to eat them all up. Yummy, yummy, yummy. And my first foe, like the giants, was deception. Lies. Bare-faced lies. Now, I'm going to give you a few examples of the times in my early days at the Flute Academy where deception was used. Now, I should clarify as well, there was a thing in Germany called Datenschutz. Datenschutz is data protection, but Germans do not fuck about with data protection. For example, you cannot go into the street and take a picture of somebody without their permission, even in a public place. You could be fined for that. That's a reason also why most Germans do not use SMS services. They will use things like Telegram, which back in Ireland, Telegram is only used for buying drugs. Germans talk on it here because it's fully encrypted. They're very strict about this. When you get a job in Germany, if you're using any emails, it has to have a company server, company laptop. You would never get a job in Germany using your own laptop. Not for a company. And using your own email address. You could never get company information sent to your own email address. That would be unthinkable in Germany. And your average German is educated in this. Apart from this fucking witch, Miss McClune, the fucking bitch. Because in my first week there, I told her I could help her do video submissions for some of the online exams that the students were sitting, and she went, great. And she sends me them over that fucking night to my personal phone number via an unencrypted service. And I was going, I don't think you can do that. And she went, it's fine, don't worry. Just delete them afterwards and don't tell anybody. And I was going, well, I won't do that. I'll hold on to them for a rainy day. I have a folder in my phone of all the illegal shit they've done. Just making myself covered. But on top of that, not just videos of children. That sounds weird, but you know what I mean. It's children playing the piano, and you can't send videos of kids to other people without the parents' permission. You just can't do that. But worse than that, she sent me copies of their passports over to help me do the submissions for the exams. And I was like, I just need the number. And she went, no, don't worry about it, just have the PDF. Now, if their parents had found out that she was sending copies of their passports via an unencrypted service to a personal phone number to someone who's not even officially an employee, I'm essentially a freelancer, they would be pissing blood. If they heard that, there would be murder in the fucking... Murder in the what? Murder in the Orient Express? Well, nowhere near that. But anyway, you know what I mean. And doesn't stop there. Her deception. Her web of lies. Because we used to have fake... We didn't have fake corona tests. We did actual corona tests every day. She faked them. So she did one at the start of the week, and then she would learn how to doctor it for every other day. How do I know this? Because she got me in to teach her how to doctor it. Why did I say no? Well, dear listener, that is going to be a common theme throughout this podcast. I should have said no to a lot of things, but I needed the money. I wanted to stay there. I was like a rabbit in the headlights. I couldn't stand up for myself. Things have changed now, but at the time, I'm not proud of any of this. But the anxiety I got with this. And even funnier story, one of my friends had just moved to Germany, a very talented pianist, a couple of albums out, critically acclaimed, doing very well, wanted a bit of teaching, said to me, can I apply to your school? And I went, great. Send an email across to Deirdre. Don't tell her I told you, just apply normally. That's how I got the job. Just email my CV and said, if there's anything going up, I'd be interested. She fires it across. 3 minutes later, I get a message from Deirdre, screenshot of my friend's email saying, ha ha ha, who the fuck do they think we are? We don't just give jobs out. This is ridiculous. I was going, well, you did. You give it to me, you fucking stupid witch. But And I thought, do I tell her? Do I say that's my friend? I told her to do that. So I didn't even tell my friend either. My friend's probably listening to this podcast now. Sorry. Now you know what happened all those years ago. I probably should have told you. Again, too embarrassed. I was stuck in between a rock and a hard place. Fucking witch. The Deirdre's a witch. And she shouldn't have fucking forwarded me personal information. Again, this is someone... You cannot forward email addresses either in Germany. You can't carbon copy people an Indian email address with their personal emails. You can't do that. People will fucking... Honestly, they'll go mad here. But anyway, the king of the giants. Odysseus, like when he fought the giants, there was a king. And my king was the report faking scandal gate of 2021. I don't even know what year it was. I think it was 2022 actually. We had to submit these reports at the end of the year. Now my Flute students, I had quite a few. You get a template and there's a little bit in the middle where you score the students on different things like punctuality, dedication, progress, skills, I think was another one. And then a little comment box where you just leave your comments reviewing their year. Below that there was a director's comment box that was for Deirdre to fill in as well. We sent it off to the parents, everyone was happy. I did mine, and then she calls me on one day and says, Gareth, would you like to do a bit of office work for me? Which I frequently did after a while because they didn't have anyone to do office work, so like answering emails and stuff. The reason I did that, in between my teaching, if there was no students, I could get paid for an hour. So I did it. She calls me on one day specifically, 6 hours of office work. I'm going, oh God, what's this for? And she went, I haven't done my reports. And she hasn't filled out the director's boxes and everyone else's reports, never mind her own students. So she says, Gareth, you need to do them all for me. And I was like, I don't know any of these students. I don't know what to say. So it doesn't matter. Write up a little text, copy and paste it, use it 7 times, then write up a new one, rinse and repeat. Done. And I was going, that is fucking bad. That is unethical as shit. That is so bad. And especially for these students, man, they work hard all year. Totally doctored reports. Fake. It doesn't mean a fucking thing. And I did it. I shouldn't have done it. I'm not proud of it. I'm really not proud of it. It was awful, actually, to be honest. I really should have done it. But I did. Because I was terrified of losing my job and ending up with my fucking arse in the street. And it actually... She got caught out because I forgot to change one of the names once. So a parent got their child's name at the top, and then in the body of text it referred to another child, and she went, well, what the fuck's going on here? And then Deirdre comes after me and she was like, you're a fucking idiot, you shouldn't have done this, you shouldn't have that. Tiny wee woman as well. I could have knocked her fucking bollocks in if I wanted to, but again, I'm 2 times taller than her. Terrified me. I was so afraid of her. I was so afraid of losing my income. And I just went, I put my leg between my tails and said, I'm sorry, miss. 3 bags full, miss. And that was it. Away I went. Awful. And I genuinely still beat myself up over that. I feel so bad about that. I feel awful about it. But anyway, we'll move on to the next one because these get progressively worse as they go on. That's just the starter. That's the entree. Is it true that Americans say appetizer and starter is different things? No, entree and starter, entree and appetizer are different things. Is that true? If so, someone told me that recently. If that's true, you're a fucking idiot. Sorry. Right. The Sirens. That is Odysseus' next foe. The Sirens. The sexy Sirens. They're like wee mermaids. Lovely wee sexy mermaids. And they would sing a beautiful song. The crew would come over and then they'd eat them. They'd kill them. Brown bread. Now, my equivalent of this was the promise of more responsibility and a greater involvement in the academy. I genuinely thought I was going to run the place at one point because I was their top guy. That was my siren song that brought me in. But this is where the problems started to happen. So I took on a role of office work, administration essentially, replying to emails, updating the website, contacting teachers. And I thought if I take this on, combined with my more teaching, this could be a breakthrough for me. I could end up being in a leadership role within this business. My fucking hole, there's no organisation. First problem came with the billing. So I have the biller for every hour I worked within the office. Within the office, it was on her fucking laptop in the back room. But anyway, every hour I worked, I billed her. Now, 1 week, I only worked 30 minutes because I had to leave. So I don't know why I did it. Maybe as a courtesy or to try and look nice, I billed her 30 minutes, which you shouldn't do. You bill a minimum of an hour in Germany. For an hour's work, you bill an hour when it's on minimum wage, which was 10 euros an hour at the time. So I billed her 30 minutes as a courtesy. And then in my schedule for the following weeks, I started to see 30 minutes of office work peering up. And then it got less and less. And then I would get things like 7 minutes of office work and I'd be getting paid for 7 minutes. You fucking tight witch. Like, that is unbelievable. Billing me like 7 minutes of office work. It was something stupid like €2.84. I was getting paid for that. And I was going, can you not just fucking pay me the last €5 and get me an hour? Or If I work 10 minutes, pay me the hour and, build up some kind of relationship with your employees instead of saving every fucking penny you can, you witch. Once I billed her for a full hour after I went the minute over, and she went fucking insane at me. So one day I sat her down as well because the minimum wage was raising in Germany from €10 to €12.41 per hour to reflect inflation. So I said to her, listen, I just wanted to talk to you. I wanted to make you aware, if you're not already, that the 1st of next month, the minimum wage is going up, so I will be billing the office hours at $12.41. And she had a face on her like a bulldog chewing a wasp, and she was like, no, I'm not sure about that, I'll have to think about it. And I was like, well, I'm not asking you, I'm fucking telling you, love, it's going up to $12.41, you're going to pay me $12.41. And she was like, oh, I'm not really sure about that, that's quite a lot. And I was like, oh, well, if you're not, I'm not going to work for less than minimum wage, alright, who the fuck do you think you are? She is so fucking tight with money, so fucking tight. Do you know she counts her money in the mirror so she doesn't rob herself? But the biggest shock was the admin fees. So we used to submit these exams for students, and we would submit the exams that came with an exam fee. We would pay that as a school, and then you get the parent to reimburse it with a special invoice. And in that invoice, we also included a small admin fee to do the application, do a bit of video editing, etc., etc. One day we had 2 students in the same family. So I said to her, is there some kind of discount? Is it one admin fee? What's the crack? And she went, no, actually double it because I don't like them. Swear to fucking God she said that. There's a cruelty to her. And that became a run thing. If she didn't like a student, I had to go and ask, how much of this does this student get charged? Because I have to gauge how much she likes the student and their parents. And she would charge more, and I thought, if you got caught out with that, then come after you with fucking pitchforks. But I couldn't complain about this. I was so uncomfortable doing these things, but I couldn't complain. There's no HR. It's all freelance. It's a company that's contracted into the school. They're independent from the school we worked in. The school doesn't give a fuck. As long as they're making money, they were happy. I used to update the website as well. I still have the password for the website. Do you update it? I would love to tell you the website. Just go see the fucking state of that website. It's awful. But I can't. I'd love to log in. I'd love to log in and fuck with it, man. I would love to. I'm still on it. But I'm not going to delete myself because I want them to delete me. Because I want people to anyway. But every time I get a few pints, I'm tempted to log into the website and start putting mad shit on it. Or to start booking exams. I have the exam booking service as well. Start booking some fucking grade 4 didgeridoo exams. 27 of them. That'll be $4,500. No problems at all. Stick it on our card, mate. But anyway, the next foe. Let's continue our journey. The 10-year journey. Odysseus follows. He gets to a beach. On the beach there's some cattle. The cattle belong to the sun god, and the sun god makes Odysseus and his men aware they're my cattle. He says, don't eat the cattle. Don't fucking eat them, no matter how hungry you get. Don't care if you're fucking starving. Don't care. No. I'm not going to say that. But don't eat the cattle. And they went, no problems, mate. We promise we won't. And then they get a bit hungry, and what do? They eat the fucking cattle. Nothing happens. They get back on the boat to leave, and then Zeus strikes down with a lightning bolt. Brown bread, dead. That's all she wrote. Now, everyone told me not to do what she asked me to do next. That was like the sun god's warning to the cattle. Everyone said, Gareth, don't do it. Don't do it, Gareth. And what did I do? I fucking did it. And I got struck down for it. Deirdre McClune comes in one day and she goes, Gareth, I'm going to write a book. And I went, you're mad. You've lost your fucking mind. I wish I did. I went, no, what I actually said was, oh, really? She went, yes, I'm going to write a method book for piano for beginners. I went, great. And she went, you're going to write it for me. I went, what? She went, I'm going to bring you the bits of paper of what I want. You put it into Microsoft Word, make it look nice. I'll pay you for it. Minimum wage, obviously. And I went, right, fuck it, grand. Now, the first page comes in, and I'm going, oh, I've read that before. So I checked one of the books, and I was like, that's word for word another book. And she went, yeah, but I like that bit, so I'm going to use that. And I was like, yeah, but you have to make sure you put copyright on this. Like, if you check the copyright laws, you can't just take someone else's words. And she went, no, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. I'm only giving it out to my students. Only a couple of hundred at the school. I'm going, yeah, even beyond copyright, it's just not being a fucking dick. So it wasn't her book. It was a mishmash of different books. Sometimes I'd be using the exact graphic from a book. I'd be scanning it in and putting it in. She'd be going, yeah, that looks good. And I'm going to go to fucking jail for this. I'm going to fucking jail for this, lads. I can see myself getting locked up for this, boys. I can see myself getting read this back in court someday. So word for fucking word. Even there was times where she didn't like the layout of the sheet music within the book, and she'd be like, type it up for me. She downloaded some software, MuseScore 3, the free one, obviously the type which. And she went, well, you go, type it up. And I typed it up, copied it, word, note for fucking note. I know, I'm an idiot. But again, I was too afraid. And I was telling her, this is like, you have to at least credit some people. It's a flagrant breach of copyright. And she went, no, don't care. She didn't credit anyone, myself included. The books came out, she got them semi-professionally printed, didn't even say my fucking name on them. She is a slippery witch. Tell you, she could peel an orange in her pocket, that woman. So before I left, I deleted the entire book from my computer. I fucked with it a little bit and just put everything upside down, saved it as new, and then deleted everything else. And then I was like, oh no, it's on my computer as well, don't worry. And then when I left, I fucking deleted it. Where is it now? In fucking hell, baby. In hell, baby. Obviously, it's gone fucking... So, we're on to the last two foes. This is where it starts to pick up here. So, Odysseus, he's facing Scylla now at this point. They're on a new island. Fuck, those lads had no lucks with islands. He's on a new island, and there's this beast at the top, 6 heads on it, 6 big old heads on it, and it just eats you. Just fucking gets down and eats you up, gobbles you up whole. Doesn't eat you in the fun way either. So the lads are walking down, and you can't fight this big beast. The only thing you do is just not go near it. And it starts picking people off. They're powerless against it. And in our tale, dear listener, this equates to problematic children. No, not the kids themselves. I have to make that very clear. I loved every student I taught there. I really love teaching. I've never had a problematic child. Okay, one or two, wee shits. But generally, children, because children are children, man. They don't mean to do these things on purpose. They're brought up badly. They can be frustrating, but they're not. They don't do it with malintent. But her reaction, Deirdre's reaction to some of these situations was fucking ludicrous. I was then hired one day. Well, not hired. I was asked one day, singing teacher is sick, can you cover the lessons? They're just kids, just go over it. And I was like, I'm not a singer, but okay. If you need it done, yes, I'll do it. Plus I want it paid. But I said, I'm not a singer. I could do like a couple of vocal exercises to get through a lesson. The teacher wasn't sick. The teacher quit like every other fucking teacher. So then I became the second teacher for a year. Same thing happened with the trumpet. Man, she came to me and said, can you play the trumpet? And I went, no. I fucking cannot. I have no idea. It's nothing like the flute whatsoever. I can teach you about a sax or a clarinet. Trumpet, not a fucking clue. She went, doesn't matter. You're teaching trumpet. You do it for one day. And I went, one day? That's all right. Then I became the trumpet teacher. I had trumpet students. I know this is fucking shit. I can't play the trumpet, man. I had trumpet students. Trumpet students, French horn students. I had trombone students, singing students, flute, recorder, guitar at one point. We'll get to that later. Fucking witch, man. And I told her every time I can't do this. But anyway, singing lessons. Used to be, I'd go in, she'd go, right, this is the song to work on the student with 10 minutes before. And boy, did she pick some fucking inappropriate songs for kids. The first song I went in, Whenever, Wherever, by Shakira, for an 8-year-old girl. Now, for those not familiar, there is a line within that song. We all know how good it is, but there is a line within that song that says, lucky that my breasts are small and humble, so you don't confuse them with mountains. And I was like, do you want me to go into an 8-year-old girl and say that? I will be locked up. I will be thrown into a police van within fucking seconds if she goes up and says, Mummy, Mr. Houston told me about my breasts today. Bang, dead. Fucking dead. Do you know what the do to nonsense in this country? I'm not saying that. I'm obviously not. That's way too inappropriate for an 8-year-old. Have you lost your fucking mind? She was like, no, do it anyway. And I went, no. So I said yes, and then I went in and I told her the first verse twice, and I said, speak to your parents and be sure this is the song you want to sing. Actually, once Deirdre said to me, oh, I've got a friend in Asia. We'll say Asia, because if I say the actual country, yeah, it would be a giveaway. So Asia. And she says she has to sing an English song at a function. She's been booked for it. She doesn't really know English pronunciation. Can you help her with a certain song? And I was like, well, yeah, pronunciation I can do, obviously. The song was Bust Your Windows. It was in Glee in one of those episodes. So this is how absurd this was. I was sitting on a fucking Skype phone call one day in the back of a music room with this wee Asian woman. Didn't speak a word of English, bless her. And I had to mouth the words to a line of a song, and then she would mouth them back to me. And I had a moment, an outer body experience, looking at myself going, look at the fucking state of this. You've got 2 degrees of music, and you're honestly sitting there going, I bust the windows out your car. And this wee Asian woman looking back at me going, I bust the window out your car. And I'm going, no, out your car. And she's going, out your car. I go, out your, yeah. And I go, fuck me, I've got 2 degrees. 2 degrees of music. It was, I shouldn't have done that accent, should I? Fuck. You know what, lads, fuck. Shouldn't have done that accent. But anyway, that wasn't too inappropriate, because at least I was not a student of the school or anything. Just a favour that she was doing, that she was paying me to do. Fucking weird. She had 2 students in the school, 8 and 9 years old, boy and girl, and thought, what duet would be perfect for an 8 and 9 year old boy to do? Sure, who else wouldn't choose Cheap Thrills by Sia and Sean Paul? So there's me saying to her, I cannot teach this wee lad how to sing like Sean Paul, because Sean Paul is a Jamaican man and he sings with pidgin English. If the wee lad is not Jamaican and I am teaching him pidgin English, that's a racial hate crime. I cannot have a wee lad running about going Sean de Paul and me trying to teach him fucking Jamaican pronunciation. Let's see if I can find the words for this. I never forget the situation of sitting down. She was like, no, you're going to teach him. His parents are insisting. And I was like, are they? Are you sure they're doing that? And I was getting, yeah, I had him going. I remember having to download a translation of Pidgin English, and I'm sitting there looking at this wee boy who's 8 years old or 9 years old, and I'm going, right, repeat after me. Come on, turn the radio on. And I'm like, I'm going to go to jail for this. I can't do this. Even when I did it there, I'm like, can I do this now? Fucking ridiculous. And here, for the end of week performance with the holiday camp, which I used to run, what did she pick as the last song? What do all children love to hear? What parent doesn't want to hear their child sing a Michael Jackson song? I thought, how fucking stupid are you? Like, we may as well do a Rolf Harris and Gary Glitter number afterwards. Get all the paedophiles in, sure. Why not? We'll get Jimmy Savile to host it. Seriously, Michael Jackson for a bunch of kids? Have you lost your fucking mind? But anyway, the main story, the main head of Scylla, the fucking dragon thing with the 6 heads. I've lost my train of thought here, lads. But the main head was this wee story. I was out one day in the summer camp. I was looking after the kids. They were out playing. I was on my own. She was down at the fucking bottom of the garden. Or bottom of the garden sounds right, actually. It sounds like she's lost her mind. Fuck. You know your woman? She's way down to the bottom of the garden, if you know what I mean. She was down at the bottom of the playground doing fuck all as usual, the lazy witch. And then a wee girl comes running up to me and says, Mr. Houston, have you seen what that wee boy's doing? And I went, no. And I turned around and there's the wee boy on top of the slide with his wee pecker out, pissing all over the place. It's going up in the air. It's going round and round. It's flying all over the place. He's laughing like a fucking maniac. All the kids are screaming. It's raining down piss on everybody. We've all lost our fucking minds. There's tears. There's people screaming. One kid's starting to throw up and going, Jesus fucking Christ. So I go, this is beyond me. So I go up to Deirdre and I say, Deirdre, have you caught a fucking eye? What's going on over there? And she went, oh fuck. So she went over, tells them all off, gets them in the corner. She goes, Gareth, go find a mop. And I was like, I beg your fucking pardon. She went, go find a mop. You have to clean this up. And I was like, away you and fuck. Away you and absolutely. See your opinion there? Roll that up into a wee ball and stick it up your arse. There is no way I am going down there to clean up fucking pish and vomit. You could go fuck yourself. She's looking at me going, what? And I was like, I'm not cleaning it up. I'm not doing it. She went, well, we can't tell the staff because if they do, I'll get in trouble. So we have to deal with this within ourselves. And I was like, well, that's a you problem. That's not a me problem. I will go find the cleaner if you want. While you look after the kids, that's it. I found the cleaner comes out, the cleaner was like, I'll clean it up, and Deirdre goes, no, don't tell anyone you saw anything, give me the mop, I'll clean it up. And then she goes to the kid, and she brings the kid with me, and she goes, me and Mr. Houston are telling you, I'm like, me and Mr. Houston, this is not cooperative here. Like, me and Mr. Houston have to tell you, don't tell your parents what happened today. They'll get very angry at you, and I'm going, no fucking way am I in this situation. I could definitely see myself having that read back to me in court in 15 years' time. And Mr. Houston then, she said, do not tell your parents, they'll be mad at you. Do you have any comments on the matter? And I'll be going, Your Honour, no, I don't. Lock me up, throw away the key. I couldn't fucking believe it. And that was where I was getting, like, this is the point where I was going, right, I need to get out of this fucking school, man. It was awful. So it brings me now to the final foe of our great epic tale. But firstly, just quickly, you know what I have to do here. Skip ahead if you're a usual listener. You'll know what the crack is. But before then, the Inline G podcast is free and always will be free. That is a guarantee. However, if you want to support this podcast, you can now do so through the Patreon. On the screen now is the address, and for the audio listeners, it is patreon.com/the Inline G Flute podcast. It costs €5 a month. I think in the UK that's £4.50. America, I want to say it's $5. $7 New Zealand, something like that. It's about that. Now, that price, how did it come up with that? It's the price of a pint. If you sign up to the Patreon, you are the people keeping this podcast alive. I cannot stress that enough at the moment. I make 4 episodes a month of this podcast. Every Friday you're getting an episode. I will never miss one. Never. Even if it's a shite one like this one where I'm just rambling, you will always get a podcast. And I also do everything around here. Every single aspect of this podcast is in-house. It's the definition of an independent podcast. Becoming a patron helps generate a regular income for this podcast. It also supports me as an artist creating art. It's an independent thing. The podcast space is changing quite a lot at the minute. Big companies are getting involved. Sponsors are getting involved. I don't want sponsors on this podcast that are going to request to change the content. They can go fuck themselves. The podcast stays the way it is because of the way it is. We can say whatever the fuck we want on here, but you guys as patrons make that possible. I don't need sponsorship money anymore. I can get paid for the art I create directly through you. So thank you very much for that. It's a £5 a month. It's the price of a pint. If you thought, fuck, I listen to all the episodes of Gareth's podcast, I'd buy him a pint if I saw him in the bar. Do it there. So you can sign up over at patreon.com. It's a subscription. If you decide I don't want to do this anymore, as long as you cancel before the end of the month, it'll be gone immediately. So you'll not be billed the next month. If you sign out, or cancel your subscription the day before the next payment is due, you won't be billed again. And you can jump in and out. It's very, very easy as that system. It's very, very nice. Patreon as well. They're very supportive. So if you can afford it, please go over there and sign up. And also, if you're listening to any other independent podcast, please support them. Supporting independent artists is incredibly important. We do a lot of work here. It is a very difficult industry to make a living in at the minute. As an artist in general, this is one of the few ways we can do it. So please support any independent podcast that you listen to. So if you can't afford it, sign up over there. It helps a huge amount. If you can't afford it, if you're finding a bit of financial difficulty at the minute, if you're unemployed, it's fine. Don't worry. You're getting exactly the same content as the people who pay. Whoever's paying is paying, so you can listen 100% for free. Right, the last foe, lads. Let's get on to this. The Cyclops. Perhaps Odysseus' greatest enemy, the Cyclops. And the most famous Cyclops of that group was Polyphemus. Now, Rodney McCool was my Polyphemus, a character that stayed very quiet in this epic tale on my side to this point. Rodney McCool was the co-owner of the McCool Academy at Pish. And I'm telling you now, a lazy fucker. We never saw him. One of the laziest men I have ever seen. If there was work in the bed, he'd sleep on the floor. Kids would not sign up to his class because every student he had came out crying every fucking week. He even had to cancel his after school club because every time he had it, my club was on at the same time next door. All the kids would be screaming, going, can we not go with Mr. Houston? And eventually went, you know what? Fuck it, away you go. He was a mean son of a bitch. I tell you what, he'd beat his dog for not being a cat. So I was running this summer camp and their kid came along. So I used to run this summer camp. Originally I was meant to be just the flute teacher for an hour on it. And then they realised it was cheaper just to hire me to do everything. So it was a multidisciplinary camp of like theatre, music, choral stuff. And we had a wee performance at the end of the week. About 20 kids. I ran the whole thing. 8 to 6. Those two lazy fuckers just sat in the corner. Didn't do a thing. Took the credit at the end. But anyway, they brought their child along. They have a child together. God help the wee fucker. And now the child isn't a student of the school. He has no right to be there. Obviously he's not paying. They brought him along because they don't want to pay for a babysitter. Because again, they're very, very fucking tight. Do you know that's why 50p's are shaped that way? So you could use a spanner to get it out of their hands. So I went out, listen, the kids are there, right? I'm doing a wee class on history and music. It's lovely. I feel like Jack Black and School of Rock. It's brilliant. They're all loving me. We're getting on. We're listening to a bit of music. In comes Rodney McCool. His kid is sitting in the front row. He turns to his kid and he says, are you a bit tired? And the wee kid goes, yeah, I'm a bit tired. He went, oh, come on over here. Now I swear to God, this is true Bill God. Strike me down if I am lying. He goes to the back of the room in front of all the children, pulls out a gym mat, like a big soft one, lies down on it, puts his kid beside him, and goes to sleep in front of the class for a wee nap. Seriously, goes for a nap in front of the class, with all the kids watching, the fucking owner of the school. And it's a weirdly intimate thing to see a grown man sleep. You're like, you fucking weirdo. What the fuck's wrong with you? I've seen you in your boxers and I've seen you sleep. I knew you better than I know my own fucking mother. You're a weirdo. So, he's fierce lazy. He's that lazy. He thought Manuel Labore was a Spanish musician. Do you know once he made me play the trumpet for him? One of the most horrific experiences I've ever went through. I genuinely get anxiety about this still. I was teaching the trumpet. I made it very clear I can't play the fucking trumpet. He came in one day and said, Gareth, come and play the trumpet for me next door. I need to make sure you're good enough to teach the students. And I said, Rodney, I can't play the trumpet. You know this. I've learned a couple of notes recently. I've told you since day one. I've never made a claim to play the trumpet. I've made that very clear. And I've protested the decision to make me a trumpet teacher every week. And I've been assured that the parents are aware, and it's a temporary thing until you get a new handyman. I don't care, come next door. And there's me being the fucking idiot that I am, sitting in a wee tiny practice room with this man, this fucking psychopath, and he's going, play the trumpet, and I'm playing a couple of notes, and I'm going, why the fuck am I doing this? I'm embarrassing myself and humiliating myself for no reason. And he's going, that's not very good. And I'm going, go fuck yourself. Well, I wish I said that, but what I said was, I'm sorry, sir. And I got out, and I had the biggest rage of my life. And I was so ready to go and fucking punch him. But that leads me on to what did happen, which was towards the end of my employment with this place, not surprisingly. So we had our camp, holiday camp, 5 days, full time, multidisciplinary. You present a concert at the end of the week. I had the idea of doing a little bit of theatre with the kids, so that way they don't have to learn as much songs and as much instrumental stuff. They can just memorise a line from a bit of poetry. That way I can tie together the whole multidisciplinary thing with some kind of theme and a loose thread between them. Wee bit of poetry, it just ties it all together. And it kills a bit of time, and it gives the kids a bit of experience of being on stage, presenting things with certain diction, with certain diction, and what do you call that? Not influence. Jesus Christ, Garrett. Anyway, you know what I mean. Certain emotions as well, certain styles of speaking. And Asian accents, I made them do all these. I made them all speak with Asian accents. So, they're on stage. Now, important to note, there's about 50 parents in the audience. You know, a gym hall, stage at the front. I've been told by Rodney and Deirdre, you have to go to the back of the hall. And I'm like, but I'm conducting. I'm running this show. And they went, yeah, but the parents want to get videos. Don't get in the way. So away go to the back of the hall. Those two stay at the front, obviously, because when the performance goes well, they take a bow with the kids. Don't even fucking invite Inline G up. I'm left at the back like a fucking spare dick. So they get up. The kids are on stage. The wee ginger lad gets up. Bless him, he's only 7. And he goes out to speak his line of poetry, and he freezes like a wee rabbit in the headlights. Totally drops. Doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Now, at this point, I can see Deirdre and Rodney. The parents are looking at them going, one of you better fucking do something here. This is very awkward. We've sat in silence for about 25 seconds here. They don't know what the fuck to do because they don't know what his line is because they couldn't be fuck learning anything. They haven't got a clue what's going on. They're looking at me going, Gareth, get down here, get down here. And I'm like, I can't. I have to stay here. You told me to stay here. Fucking loving it. And then I was like, right, I don't want the wee boy to suffer. So I went down to the side of the stage and I thought, I'm not going in front of the parents. And I called his name and I said, mate, look at me. And I gave him the first few words. I was mouthing it to him. And he's looking at me going, yeah, I've got it now. I've got it. And he's doing well. Then fucking Rodney, True Bill, comes up behind me. And he goes, no, you have to go to him. And he puts his hand on my arm and grabs it a little bit. And gives me like a little gentle push that way. And the fucking red mist came right down. And he's ready it's ready to kill him, man. But I didn't do that. But what I actually did do, though, is when he pushed me a little bit, I said at an audible level, slightly more than speaking, but not at a shout, but in a dead quiet room, don't fucking touch me. And the blood drained from his face. He looked like a fucking pasty man, white as a ghost. And I was loving it. And the parents all picked up on it. But they could see it was his fault. Because obviously when you say to someone, don't fucking touch me, they know, well, you definitely shouldn't have touched him. And he didn't respond to it and he let it go. Now, to be fair, I didn't get sacked for that at all. Didn't even get mentioned. Because he knew he did the wrong thing. So, that was the last foe that we had. A couple of quick honourable mentions that didn't make it into the podcast. Every day when I went to work, I started at a different time, depending on the schedule. I got my schedule at 4 a.m. I used to have to set an alarm at 4 a.m. every morning to find out when I was working because they were so unorganised. My girlfriend fucking hated me for it. There were no breaks allowed for teachers. So you were scheduled the entire day straight. You didn't get a lunch break, didn't get a second break at all. Not one, because she wanted to fit as many as she could in. If the students don't turn up, you don't get paid. The school gets paid, obviously. The Academy of Pish gets paid, but they don't give a single fucking penny to the teacher if the student doesn't turn up, even at the last minute. So you're sitting there like another spare dick. I once got told to run a guitar club and said I can't play the guitar for love nor money, haven't got a fucking clue, wish I could, can't. Bob's your uncle. And she went, doesn't matter, Gareth, here's a YouTube video I found, you can watch that, talking to me in that boomer voice of like, I found this thing on YouTube, do you know YouTube? And I'm like, you fuck off, YouTube. And concerts were unpaid. We used to have to do a concert day at the end of the year, 7 hours, unpaid. You should do it for the love of the students. So, anyway, that's why this story up, lads. The return as the king of Ithaca. Odysseus, after 10 years, finally returns back to Ithaca. His wife Penelope is there. She's been fighting off suitors trying to ride her. And he goes in and just fucking whacks their heads off. Kills every one of them. Takes his place as king of Ithaca. His true throne. Now, my version of this was the satisfaction of my first time quitting. I quit twice. The first time quitting, I went up there after a concert, I'd done the official thing, wrote out a formal resignation letter, got it signed, gave it to her and said, that's it, I'm off. And I did it very politely. I didn't say I hated her, I just said, no, I don't want to do this anymore, I haven't got the time. She went, oh my god, really? And I went, yep, sorry, that's it. Left it at that. when I was getting the bus on the way after, I saw her outside talking to her husband, holding the letter, crying. I thought, you fucking look at your crocodile tears. Let me lick them up. So I did actually come back and work for them again. They asked me to do the summer camp the year after, and I thought, this is a good chance because I'll get paid, I'll get a lot of money. If they fuck with me, I will remind them that I'm working without a contract, because I knew they wouldn't remember to give me a new contract. They're way too fucking stupid for that. And I was right. So I did that. It was fine. Now this is the final nail in the coffin, dear listener. This is where it all wraps up. There was a summer camp last summer, actually. Is it last summer? It is, a year ago, because it was just before the 20 Odyssey game at Leverkusen played. There you are. So 1 year ago, I had left 10 days, Monday to Friday, for 2 weeks, open to do a summer camp for them. They confirmed it, 8 to 6 every single day. Big money. This is going to be like $2,000 for me. That's like 3 months rent. This was big for me, so I cancelled every other student I had, every other bit of work I had. I cancelled a couple of holidays. I went to Hamburg for the football later than planned, all to do these 2 weeks work. I text her 3 days before, on the Friday, to say, by the way, just wanted to check what time we're starting on Monday. And she texts back going, oh, sorry, I forgot the camp is cancelled. The school is closing. Forgot to tell you, have a lovely summer. So I, instead of replying going, I'm going to fucking murder you, I replied, I took a breath, because I was shaking with rage. I took a breath, I chilled out, and then I sent a very nice message saying, I understand that it's been cancelled. I wish this was communicated to me earlier. Is there any form of compensation available? You guys are freelance musicians. You understand the situation I'm in. I've blocked out everything for this and I'm getting no money now. And it's too late to pick up my other work. Is there some, I know it's not in the contract, but is there the chance of getting some kind of compensation to help me out? No reply. Then I get a message 6 months later saying, Gareth, do you want to do the Christmas camp? That was last Christmas. Fuck. Feels like longer. And I got to send this. And this is the email, dear listener, that puts me on the throne of Ithaca. This was so sweet to send. So this is what I sent in reply. Dear Daydream McClune, I'm very surprised to receive this message. The last time we spoke, the music camp was cancelled extremely last minute, and I was only informed because I inquired first. I then sent a very polite message to ask if any form of compensation was available, to then only be ignored entirely. This caused me to lose 10 days of my normal work, which I explicitly set aside to work for you, along with declining a family holiday. To not even receive a reply was not only insulting on a professional level, but also on a personal one. It was a level of rudeness I did not expect from an academy that I had shown consistent dedication and loyalty towards over a period of years. There is an ingrained culture of unprofessionalism, disloyalty, and malpractice with the Macun Academy of Music and Pish. Therefore, on ethical grounds, I would no longer like to be considered for work. Please do not contact me any further. Gareth. Mic drop. That was the sweetest message I ever sent, and I was shaking like a shitting dog after sending that. Turned my phone on silent, put it on airplane mode, paced about my fans, like, oh my god, what are they going to say? Don't know why. The control these people had over me was wild. When I went on holidays or when I went home, they used to ring me all the time. They always rang me when I was on holidays to ask about things. I never got time away, and they would always shout at me or say bad things to me, and it ruined holidays for me for a year. And it killed any creativity or excitement I had in my life. I did not want to do anything associated with music at all. It made me not enjoy my private teaching as much. It ruined my life. I used to come home every day from that job angry as fuck, couldn't sleep. Anxiety levels were through the roof. Was not enjoying my personal relationships. Was not enjoying my hobbies because I couldn't stop thinking about this fucking evil witch and her stupid as fuck husband. And now it's all gone. I banished that ghost and I took a new job at Bayer Leverkusen, which did not pay a third of what that school paid, but has made me so happy, and I'm not carrying that about with me anymore. I feel like it was a relic of my time as a teacher, that I consistently had these big teaching jobs, and I held on to this one for the last minute because I felt like it was maybe important to my identity that I had a job at a major music school teaching, and that was something I wanted to hold on to regardless of how detrimental it was to my mental health or to every part of my health. I held on to it anyway right to the last minute, believing as long as I've got this, I am a legitimate teacher. I've got this position, I'm still there. And it was ridiculous. I became a better teacher, a better podcaster. Well, actually a podcaster in general. This podcast wouldn't have happened if I was working there. Nothing would have happened. All the creative things I've got to do over the last year and a half have been because I left that school. My mental health has been great. I've had a wonderful time. I love my life at the minute. This podcast is such a great thing for me to do. I adore making it. That wouldn't have happened if I was still at that school. And actually writing this episode today has been such a lovely experience. I feel like adding humour and comedy to these difficult situations really helps us understand it a little bit more. It let me reflect on it, and it let me finally put this to bed a little bit and to put this away, to share it with you guys and to bring it out into the world. It's been very cathartic. I really enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun, lads. It's been really good. I've banished the ghost of Christmas past. So also, if you're in a shitty job, just remember, you can quit. You can tell them to go fuck themselves. You'll always get work again. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. Save up a bit of money. Tell them to go fuck themselves. Don't be worried about, like, oh, what are they going to say, and what if, it affects my next employment. If they're as bad as my boss was, other employers will know. When I've applied for other things here, I've always been told, oh, you worked for them? Yeah. I go, fuck yeah, I wish you told me that before. So, you can do it, lads. Don't be miserable in your jobs. Obviously, if you have to for financial purposes, I understand. But the grass does get greener. You can jump on the other side and come join in with me. I've had a great time. It was the best decision I ever made to jump out of that job and have essentially no income for a couple of months. Best thing I've ever done in my life. So, lads, I'll be back next week. We got the 1 year anniversary. I'm going to have something different planned for that. This was a bit of a rambly podcast. I didn't really know where it was going. I hope it was okay. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope it brought you some kind of solace, or at least a bit of entertainment, a bit of comedy. I know it has for me. So, lads, have a lovely week. Have a lovely weekend. Go fucking stroke a cat. Go listen to some great music. I think it might be Father's Day. I'm not sure when this episode comes out. So go ring your dad. Text your man, ask how she's getting on. Go check in on your friends. Be gentle to yourself. And someone, for the love of fuck, go drink a Bud Light Lime for me and send me a picture. Lads, have a lovely weekend. I'll see you next week. Big hugs, big smooches. Slan.